My favorite Skyrim mods are always those big DLC-sized releases, adding new world spaces and stories, making a decade-old game feel new and exciting again. And given the amount of time that it takes to make these kinds of mods, there's a lot of reasons why only a few ever reach a full release. Today, we're taking a sneak peek at one of my most anticipated mods for 2025, aiming to release in March, just a couple months away. This is Lordbound, a story-focused expansion that will take players beyond Skyrim's borders to the isolated Druadach Mountains, which separates western Skyrim and eastern High Rock. This new, dense region is jam-packed with content, promising over 60 hours of gameplay, 40 new quests, and over 50 dungeons in total. The choices you make along your journey will help to shape the region and decide the fate of its people. Now, before we jump in, let's quickly talk about the mod's history, having first started development back in 2014. Before Skyrim Special Edition was even a twinkle in Todd's eye, Lordbound initially began with the goal of redesigning the vanilla orc stronghold of Morkazgr, which in turn would give it a new questline and an expansion of the physical stronghold itself. As time went on, the scope of the project changed, with the new goal being of creating a new orcish settlement set in the Druadach Valley, giving us a brand new zone to explore. In the years since its initial announcement, the mod has changed project leads, and has undergone significant changes, having been rebuilt to reflect the changes in the modding scene, and our expectation from new land mods over time. The video footage that you're watching today comes from a relatively up-to-date build of the mod as it approaches its full release version, and much of the music that you hear today comes from the mod's custom soundtrack. The Lordbound team was kind enough to give me early access so that I could make this video, and I had a lot of fun exploring the new zone, while intentionally avoiding as much quest content as I could. That way I can experience most of it for the first time when the mod officially launches. Today's video was recorded with a handful of visual mods installed, and if you'd like the full list, check out my 2024 graphics overhaul video. You can find the link in the upper right hand corner now. The key difference between that mod list and the one that I'm using today is that I'm using Obsidian Weathers instead of Cathedral. But keep in mind that new world spaces might not always be 100% compatible with each and every weather mod. However, I found that the lighting and weather both looked great with the setup during my time playing. While I wanted to avoid a lot of the quests for this video, I did wind up playing through two of the openings in the mod, both of which started by speaking with a Khajiit merchant in Whiterun, who was looking for a new means to reach the Druadach Valley. He already had his own route, but was unwilling to share it with us, and instead asked for us to investigate two different rumors. The first path had me investigate an Imperial tunnel, in which I was tasked with delivering a shipping manifest to Captain Falks of the Legion, with him and his forces holding a line at a fort just on the other side of this mountain pass. The cave system connecting to the valley was massive, with a new group of Reachmen known as the Ravenhearts having killed several Imperial soldiers within. Upon exiting these crumbling caverns and meeting with Falks, we immediately bear witness to the power keg that is the Druadach region, with the Imperials, the Orcs, and the Reachmen all seeking to claim what they believe to be rightfully theirs. The second option involved traveling through a tunnel found within Morkazgr's mines, with the Orcs having broken into an old tunnel system that once connected the two provinces. This long abandoned passageway once served as a trade route and had since fallen into severe disarray, forcing you through caverns infested with spiders and skeevers in order to reach the valley and the Orc checkpoint of Garshak's Vigil on the other side. The design of Morkazgr's passageways reminds me quite a bit of the deep roads from the Dragon Age universe, which to this day is still one of my favorite parts of Dragon Age Origins. I love the architecture here especially. It feels like a proper ruin, a relic of a bygone era. The passage that you take in order to reach the Druadach Valley will determine which group you meet first, be it the Empire or the Orcs of Garshakr. This alone already provides with some great replayability, as you'll have a different introduction to the region depending on which route you undertake. Starting off with the Imperials might make you feel more sympathetic to their goals, or making your way through Morkesger's passage might give you more reason to want to side with the Orcs. I like that you don't simply take a carriage to the valley in order to begin your journey. Instead, you have to work for it a bit more. It gives you a really great introduction to the story and the setting, and have a way to learn a bit about the lore. The Druadach Valley has remained in isolation for the better part of the 4th era, having only recently restored its connections to both Skyrim and High Rock. With the Orcish chieftain of Garshakr refusing to cede his land, his people have cut off valuable trade routes that could otherwise connect major cities between the two provinces. The Imperial Legion has continued their fight against the Orcs to little avail, but this proves to be only one of the conflicts that's currently plaguing the land. Highreach serves as the one Breton city in the region, situated in the far east of the valley. This independent fortified city once ruled over the entire region, until the town of Gardale sought independence, and the increasingly aggressive Orcs claimed the settlement of Garshakr in the west. Lord Halen serves as Highreach's ruler, a young and welcoming leader. The walled-off city serves as home to the Lordbound, a group of famed mage knights, whose loyalty to the young lord remains unmatched. Much of Highreach is built around the keep, with a blacksmith, a marketplace, stables, and more, all of which help to keep the city running smoothly. Highreach really feels like a proper Breton keep, and it gives me that sense of nobility that was often missing in Skyrim. The city's sigil can be seen throughout the keep, banners and flags displayed proudly, alongside some really good-looking stained glass fixtures as well. Lord Halen grows concerned with the stability of the region between the Empire, the Orcs, and smugglers who are looking to take advantage of the valley's hardships. Even within the city walls, its people are far from safe, with Captain Ulrich of the City Guard tasking you with investigating a series of recent murders, fearing the work of a serial killer. I really enjoyed walking through Highreach, and I found it to be very well designed. The market features various merchants, from jewelers to butchers, bakers, and alchemists. The chapel plays home to a shrine of Talos, with the priest inside sharing his faith in the flawed Ninth Divine. Given the region's independence and isolation, they never formally accepted the White Gold Concordat. A shrine to Kynareth can be found in one corner of the city, just on the opposite side of a small graveyard. Highreach sports a mix of old and new models, with many of the vanilla architectural pieces from the base game given a new life with new textures. The Orcs have a significant presence in Lordbound, with several settlements spread across the region, but you'll need to obtain a blood token in order to enter nearly any of their strongholds or outposts. Much like being named Bloodkin in Skyrim, a blood token shows that you've proven your worth, your honor, or both within the region. For outsiders, it is essential if you wish to be granted access to their cities. But even for the Orcs born to Druadach Valley, a blood token may prove to be essential to show your worth in the eyes of Garshakr. While the city of Garshakr serves as their central keep, the Orcs' population grew to be too large, forcing them to expand. Mont Malgroth serves as a training ground, said to be less comfortable than the new Orc capital. The Orcs of Gardale are said to be less hospitable than those across the other settlements, but will still allow entry to those who possess a blood token. And across the region, you'll find more camps, forts, and Orc longhouses, with their goal being to create a civilization that's greater than the recently conquered Orsinium. And in that sense, the Orcs of Garshakr seem to be off to a strong start. While a blood token may be enough to grant you access to many of the settlements, it won't be enough to enter the upper district of Garshakr proper. Instead, you'll be asked to prove your worth to Malakath himself. Otherwise, you'll only be permitted to walk the lower city of the Orc capital. I'm someone who really enjoyed the Orsinium DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online, getting to see the Orcs have a greater society, have a proper city, and see the interaction between the various clans. This is something that Lordbound captures the spirit of, giving us Orcish settlements that are larger than the longhouses that we see in Skyrim. Given the valley's location, situated between Skyrim and High Rock, we get a good mix of dungeon types. Starting with the Nordic ruins of the region, our first stop is Ysgramor's Folly in the far east, nestled amidst the mountain range. Further north from here is the Nordic barrow of Timvar's Barrow, where the Draugr have fought off the guards of Highreach, who had unsuccessfully tried to clear the tomb. And only a stone's throw away from the Morkesgar Passage is Hjoldir's Sepulchre, now overrun by the Ravenheart Reachmen. One thing that I really like about Lordbound is the sheer size of some of these locations, such as the ancient Nord structure of Angavar. There's a sense of scale to Lordbound that we didn't often have with Skyrim's vanilla locations. Not too far from Highreach Hold, you'll find Stonebark Brewery, the producers of the local ale. The Brew and Barrel acts as their very own tavern, a welcome sight for weary travelers. Visiting the tavern also gives us a chance to see some of the new assets created for the mod, including brand new tankards, bottles, and food. The abandoned mining village of Orfell was taken over by the Wayfarers, a polite term for the smugglers, who are looking to turn a profit as the many factions fight amongst themselves. The dwarven ruins dotting the region were once all part of the great Dwemer city-state of Betharzel, with each ruin having once been interconnected, and some remaining undiscovered even after all these years. One such ruin, located deep beneath the valley's surface, has become partially exposed due to the tectonic activity in the region. These dwarven delves make up many of the locations found within Druadach, providing players with plenty of sprawling dungeon experiences. The castle of Cragmere had predated Highreach as the central lordship of the valley, but was abandoned centuries ago during the Second Era. All that remains now is the decrepit keep, with a malign magical aura still hanging over the fortress. And serving as one of the great mysteries of the region is the long-abandoned ruins of Skylock Citadel. While I wasn't able to show more of this location in particular, it's one that I'm really looking forward to exploring in the full release. And in addition to all of these locations, there's a lot more to find, from caves to Daedric shrines and much, much more. From what I've seen so far, I think Lordbound will provide a great dungeon experience for players. High Rock has always been one of my favorite locations in the Elder Scrolls franchise. It's that classic medieval fantasy motif that made me fall in love with fantasy when I was a kid. Knights of the Round Table, swords and shields, all that jazz. Getting to see content about the Bretons, their province, their lore, and their customs is something that I always look forward to, whether it be from official sources like the Elder Scrolls Online, or from mods such as this. And when it comes to Skyrim mods, one of the challenges that a lot of authors face is trying to find a way to create new regions that fit the game's style, while still feeling distinct from the Nordic homeland. And Lordbound rides that fine line very well. We're only a couple months away from the mod's planned release, and I know the team is hard at work getting everything ready. And having played a few different mods while they were still in development, I can see for myself that they're really in the home stretch. In the time that I've had access to the early builds, the team has implemented a revised and updated version of the Orc stronghold of Mot Malgarath, and as we speak, they're working on an updated design for another major settlement. For me, as someone who loves the gaming industry and the modding scene, getting to see a bit of the behind-the-scenes action has been really exciting. Having access to lore documents and seeing how they roll out new versions of the mod to everyone on the team. Yeah, these are the kinds of things that excite me in life. I have thoroughly enjoyed the time that I had exploring the Druadach Valley. I think the team found a great balance in terms of creating a new world space without making it too big, having a good amount of dungeons and density to the map without having locations feel like they're right on top of each other. I don't need every mod team to try and make an entire province. I love getting zones just like this. So I hope you enjoyed this first look at Lordbound, and I hope that you'll join me when I do a full playthrough when it releases. There's a lot of mods set to come out in 2025, and this is up there as one of my most anticipated. And if today's video is leaving you hungry for more, make sure to check out Lordbound's ModDB page, link in the description below. The team is always looking for volunteers, and I'm sure they would appreciate any extra help in getting everything ready for that anticipated March release. But that's gonna be all for today. As always, thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, both of which get access to my official Discord server, as well as early access to most new videos. And if you'd like to watch me play something other than Skyrim, while still talking about Skyrim mods from time to time, make sure to check out the streams at twitch.tv/0periodproductions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.